This is lesson 12.2, module 12, lesson 12.2, independent and dependent variables in tables and graphs. So the new words that we need to learn are vocabulary words of independent variable and dependent variable. Independent variable is a variable, it's often the X value in your table, whose variation does not depend on that of another. You can think of your parents. They don't depend on you. For the dependent variable, you can think of yourself. You actually depend on your parents, because a dependent variable is a variable, it's often the Y, whose variable depends on that of another. So independent, think of your parents, and dependent, think of you. Okay, so let's go through an example. Oh, I'm sorry, you can probably pause it there and write the notes. And yes, those will be on the vocabulary test. And the other thing, a lot of you are forgetting to write module 12.2 up in the corner. So whenever you go back and show me your notes, you're forgetting what notes you've written and where it belongs. So please write that up there, okay? Here's our example. A freight train moves at a constant speed. The distance y in miles that the train has traveled after X hours. So you just put it in the table, time over distance. Time is going to be your X. X is always your independent variable. Your distance is going to be your Y. So if you traveled for 0 hours, guess what distance you've gone? 0 distance. If you've traveled for 1 hour, then you've gone 50 miles for your distance. 2 hours, 100 miles. Let's just skip counting. 3 hours, 150 miles. So the independent variable is definitely the time. So when your time stops, guess what? So does your distance, okay? So that's one way of thinking about it too. The two quantities in this situation is time and distance, okay? And the question would be, which one depends on the other? Well, your distance is definitely going to depend on your time, because if your time stops with travel, guess what? So does your distance. So it says which one depends on the other? Distance depends on time traveled. If the time stops, so does the distance. It kind of makes sense. The only thing is we're going to be doing graphing with this stuff now from the table, and you could actually graph that starting at 0, 0, and then if you go to 1, that would be your X value, and then you would go up to 50, and you could actually graph that from that table. Down here is an example of rate of pay. When the hours stop, so does the pay. So if you started at 0, 0, if you worked 0 hours, guess what? You get 0 pay. But if you work 1 hour, you get $20. Work 2 hours, be $40. 3 hours, you would get $60. If you worked for 4 hours, you would get $80. If you stopped work, then you stop right there at $80. You don't get any more, right? So your independent would be the hours worked, and your dependent would be your rate of pay, because your rate of pay depends on how many hours you work, okay? Well, that's not good. Hold on a second. Oh, I can catch that later. Okay, so then you're going to go and get this paper here, which is 12.2, which is independent and dependent variables in tables and graphs, solving AB. And I want you to go ahead and figure this out and enter it all in teachermade.com, okay? And I think that's the only homework sheet to this one. Well, then you can go into the Go Math. Let's see. You would be able to complete your Go Math pages 337 to 338. You know what? Don't worry about that. We're not even, no. We're just not even going to do that. We're just not even going to do that. I just want you doing this one page here, okay? So that would be all you'd do is enter this in teachermade.com. Hey, thank you for watching module 12.2.